here.
Did it. Hi, everyone. Hi.
Really did it.
We did it.
Okay. Can we see both of us? Yes. We got all these. Yay. Hi. So, what I was just saying to kind of kick us off is that a lot of the reason we decided to do this, and we were literally talking at 5 my time yesterday, is because the power of community is something that's really important here. Like, we're all feeling really scared and sad and pissed and fearful. And also, like, we're not in this alone. And that was part of the, you know, point of this. So I'll do a quick little intro of what you're going to hear today, and then I'll let Kristen do an intro. I'll talk a little bit about some basic civics and try not to make you fall asleep. And Kristen will talk a little bit about how to talk about this with your children. And then if we have time for some Q&A, great. This will be recorded and sent out after. So I think that answers everything. Okay, so to get rolling here. Over 500 of you registered for this in a few hours, which is great. Again, we did this last minute, but I think you're here because you've had enough, because maybe you're feeling hopeless, maybe you don't know what to do next, or you don't know how to help. Maybe you don't know how to address this with your kids, like we've said, and we're going to hopefully tackle all of that. We're a 3-year-old organization, for those of you who don't know. I started it by accident because I couldn't, sorry if there's kids in the background, but I'm a swearer. I couldn't fucking do this anymore. The thoughts and prayers cycle and the media cycle and moving on. And I'm like, what in God's name are we doing? So we are nonpartisan and we are working to end mass shootings. No one in America wants to see kids gunned down at school. So rather than focus where we differ, because that is real, March 4th starts at where we align. We all want kids to be safe. We all want kids to come home from school alive. And we all want freedom and safety to coexist. So we start there. Today, we'll give you a quick civics overview. I know I needed that before, once I started this, I didn't realize how the government worked and what a representative or a senator was. And I swear I went to high school and college and graduated somehow. I think more than anything, if you take one thing away today, please take away that there's hope. Please take away that we can make change, because we can. We can do anything if we work together and we keep it up. So I'm really grateful to be joined by our March 4th Impact Board member, Kristen. She is the co-founder of Big Little Feelings, which, as all of you know, is an incredible parent account that helps really, I'll let her explain, but I lean on it to help me raise my kids. And more than that, she is a fierce advocate for what is right. And she is never afraid to get in the damn game and do the thing. So, Kristen, thank you.
Thank you. I'm honored, happy to be here whenever there is something that I can join. I always join. I always tell Kitty that you guys are going to get sick of me because, um, like Kitty, I'm a swearer too, and I've had fucking enough. I've had enough. Everyone who is here probably has children. And the truth of the matter is, and this is what we say when we walk into every senator's office, is that whether your child and the children of America are involved in a shooting or not, their anxiety is skyrocketing right now. There is an anxiety epidemic in America only amongst our youth, and that is equated to the shooting drills. And if there were no shooting drills, there's still the news. And if there is no news, there is still hearing it from their peers. The only way to get this epidemic to stop is to take the weapons of war away. And I think something that's very important of why I chose March 4th to join this fight with is I personally believe that it is too big of an uphill battle to get rid of every single gun in America. I personally kind of wish we could, but I joined March 4th because while there is a huge debate about gun control in general, it's actually a very mutually respected decision to simply get rid of the guns that lead to mass shootings. So that's why I'm here. I'm excited to talk to you also about how to talk to your child about this because it's one of the worst things in the entire world, and I'm beyond honored to be here to help you all through it. I'll try not to cry. And I'm gonna kick it back to Kitty, because she knows how to move these things and make change.
Thank you. And so I just kudos to everyone that's on the call. Like you're doing the first step, which is participating. You're getting involved and you showed up. So awesome. And this just shows the power of like what people are willing to do in less than 12 hours. We're like, let's do this. And we're like, do you think anyone will come? And like we were like, so what? Let's just do it and see. So here's a I guess a centering point that we all need to remember. Laws are man-made. We make them up. And yes, it's more complicated than that, but also it isn't because we literally make up laws and laws are followed by public pressure and public sentiment. And that is why we're here. So the media cycle moves on, and there is an element here that yes, the media is complicit. Like basically, this whole sentiment is yes and, yes and, yes and. We have to stay in it because when we compartmentalize and move on Tuesday after Labor Day, guess what Congress says? I think we're good. We don't have to do anything. And I'll tell you, I talked with a representative who voted yes on the assault weapons ban, a Republican in 2022. There's only two of them, so you can probably figure out who this is. He is no longer in Congress. And he had an aide right after Buffalo. All right. He served in Buffalo. Right after Buffalo, when the atrocity happened in Buffalo, he had an aide that said to him, don't do anything. Give it 2 weeks, 2 weeks, and this will blow over. And he said no. Now, that is the politicos of the world reading the room, right? Right, or however we feel like morally and ethically, that person's doing their job. And I'm taking my emotions out of it here. They're doing their job because they know that the fury will dissipate because it has to. Our job is to keep that fury and say, no, 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 you don't have 2 weeks. You don't get to move on. We're not living like this anymore. So the quick civics lesson, and I'm going to try to keep moving us along, is every citizen in America, and I'm not being condescending, I literally didn't know this 3 years ago, has 2 senators and 1 representative. We are talking about federal representatives. We are talking about the state that you live in and the district that you live in, not your state level or your local level, the federal government. March 4th is focused only on federal laws, not because there aren't amazing local and state laws. There are. I have ADHD. I can't focus on everything. And to Kristen's point, this mountain is extremely large. We are picking a narrow but impactful focus, and that is ending mass shootings in America, limiting access to assault weapons, the ones that were made for war, the ones that we already banned in America for 10 years in a bipartisan way, and the ones that are legally obtained by shooters in the deadliest mass shootings in America. So that's, I think, the big thing. And I was literally talking to my husband about this last night. And if you can believe it, we've had a few of these conversations over the past 3 years. And he's like, what about the people that say, like, no matter what, people are going to find illegal weapons? And I said, yes, yep, yes. And if you look at the deadliest mass shootings in America, the sentence that strings them together is the shooter obtained the AR-15 legally. I'm not pretending we're going to stop all gun violence in America because I don't think we have that power. I think no matter what, there will always be evil in this world. Can we mitigate it? Can we save some lives? It's like saying, well, let's not have speed limits because people are going to speed. No, let's take the common denominator out. So we always say, yes, it is a mental health crisis in this country. To Kristen's point, we have a mental health crisis in this country. People don't, sane people don't do these acts of violence. Yes. And if we remove the common denominator, perhaps they can do less damage. And part B is we're not addressing the mental health crisis that the mass shooting epidemic is creating. And that, my friends, is something that is far more important than trying to pinpoint the mass shooters beforehand. We are literally raising a generation of trauma, and we need to freaking fix it. So I think, as we've talked about, we're nonpartisan. That just means that I'm never going to take my platform right here and say, and Maureen's my co-president is saying never say never, but I'm not going to today endorse any candidates, endorse any parties. They are irrelevant. Anyone can do this. And I don't care who does it. I don't care if Trump is the one that does it. I want it done. I think everyone can agree that they want it done and they don't want to wait. So our goal is to create that unity and build a bigger tent. I'm not going to ask you how you feel about abortion or about other gun laws. If you believe that we need to end mass shootings and pass laws that do that, come with us. Come with us. And that is the goal here. 61% of Fox News voters on election day this past year, 24, Fox News posted this, want safer gun laws in America. This is not the controversial thing that we think it is because we look at social media and look at grown men fighting on Twitter. It isn't. The other thing I'll say is there is a reason there hasn't been a big rhetoric out of the Trump administration for the past year being safety. And I want this to end. So my ask of you, I texted this to Kristen, I thought this morning in the shower. Glennon, we can do hard things. It was her, I didn't double check that beforehand. Do hard things. Today, I'm not even asking you to do a hard thing. Hard things are like solve a Rubik's Cube in under a minute. Hard things are go through chemo, right? Hard things are travel with your kids alone with a layover. Something that I'm asking you to do is tedious and inconvenient at best. I am asking you to contact 3 elected officials and to do it every day. What else can I do? That's what you can do every day. Don't let it fall off. If we don't, they think it's over. And yes, there's plenty more after that. And then I promise I'm throwing it to you, Kristen, because I am sick of myself talking. There is more to do beyond that, but at the bare minimum, that's where I need you guys. It's getting loud. If you want to do more, by all means. We always say the best kind of participation is the kind you'll actually do. It's like the best kind of sunscreen is the kind you'll actually wear. So if it's contacting your representatives, fantastic. If it's contacting your representatives and donating, wonderful. We literally only exist on donations. If it's contacting them and coming to DC with us, awesome. Come participate in democracy. If it's hosting an event, there are literally, I can think of thousands of things you can do, but at the bare minimum, we can't do this without you, and your voice matters. So the anger is normal, and I have it. The anxiety is normal and widespread, as Kristen mentioned, but action is an antidote. So if you want a different America, it starts with you. It starts with us, not to reference that movie, but it starts with us as a collective to do something. I will answer a lot of the questions afterwards. That is my basic civics lesson of the day. Bottom line, follow us so you can do the contact form. If you want to take a break from social media, make sure you sign up for our newsletter and you can get it that way too. Now let's focus on how to talk about this with our children because we all have to do that, unfortunately.
Kitty, great. Amazing. I feel fired up. I don't know about everybody else, but I feel fired up, and that's why we continue to show up. And before I talk about how to talk about your kids, I will say that sitting in room with senators, I was floored by how much it actually does matter when people call in on these issues. I thought that our voice doesn't matter. Voicemails are just going to go to, their staffers, and their staffers are just going to throw it away. our voice and our persistence, it matters. And when there is an influx of pressure, they do listen. So call three senators and don't think you're just not doing anything. You should feel really proud and be able to look your kids in the eyes and say, I did everything I could today. Because you did. Doing that, if everyone did that in this country who wanted gun law reform, we would have a change. Now the hard part. How to talk to your kids. um, Sorry, let me gather myself for a second. It makes me mm, incredibly angry and overwhelmed that we even have to do this. There will always, let me backtrack. There will always be hard moments in life. There's going to be earthquakes. There's going to be things happening at school. There's going to be bullies. There's going to be man-made disasters. And our job as parents is to validate our children, assure their safety for the most part, because most of these things are very rare. And we can do that. We can do this in this role. You can show up and you can reassure your child. The hardest and scariest thing for your child of any age is to be alone in the fear. So know that showing up and that they have you as their protector, as their listener, as their guidance counselor in life is doing more than you even know. So how do you talk to your kids about this? Number one, if you have a younger child, you do not need to tell them about this. Let's say you have a toddler. Let's say they are not in school yet. They are on the younger side of school and they're never going to know about this. Don't tell them. They do not need to know this. This is not something like grandma passed away. They should know that. That's in your household. They're not going to see grandma anymore. We want to be really open and honest with them about things that are changing in their life, hard things. This is not one of them. This is not one of them. Directly related to that is that toddlers, little kids, babies are smarter than you think. So if the news is on, if you are sitting at the dinner table with grandma or Uncle Larry or whoever it is, turn the news off, especially in front of your toddler, especially in front of your children, whether they know or whether they don't know, and we'll get to this in a second, turn the news off. But especially for those little ones, this is the way that they're not going to find out. If they do overhear you and Uncle Larry talking about it, the news on it, you're going to move on to step two, which is how to talk to them about it. But as much as you can mitigate them from it before they know, do that. You have permission to do that. You do not have to talk to them about it until they're at the age where they do know, which is angering. So now we're going to move into the age where they do know. They found out from a friend at school. They did overhear it on the news. They're of an older age. Maybe they have a peer. Maybe you're watching this because they were in the community. They were close by. Um, if you are watching, I'm very sorry if that was you. What you want to do first, and this is very important, is let them talk. Let them talk. Find out what they know first instead of sort of barraging them with details and facts and all of that. Find out what they know. Hey, sweetie, this happened. What do you know about it? Or they come to you, they share with you. Let them just talk and talk and talk. Find out, try to piece out if there's correct information, if there's incorrect information. These are kids. These are third graders. They're trying to make sense of what is happening. So we really want to give them factual information should they know that in an age appropriate way. You don't have to overshare. If they don't know that two kids died that are 8 and 10, we don't need to overshare that. What they do know, there was a shooting. You can affirm that. Yes, there was a shooting. Where was it? It was however many states away. It was in our community. Give them factual details. Most importantly, we're gonna, and you've heard me say this 10,000 times, we're going to validate their feelings. Okay. We're going to even affirm their feelings by sharing that's how we're feeling. If they're saying, and ask them, how does that make you feel? And they may avoid it and they may feel embarrassed by it. I'm fine. I'm okay. That's okay too. Then you may want to likely share your feelings. I felt pretty worried when that happened. I know that we are safe. We are safe in this home. I'm so happy you're here, et cetera, et cetera. And I felt a bit worried. I felt a bit scared. It's really normal to feel scary, to feel scared when something scary happens. Um, it can be really tempting. I do this all the time, especially let's say on a playground or when they fall, and it's sort of that sentiment of like, you're okay, you're fine, because we don't want them to be scared. We don't want them to be terrified of this. You're in third grade, you shouldn't be terrified. So it could be really tempting to be like, well, but especially if they're very upset about it, and they might be really upset. They might be afraid they're going to die. And so your instinct is going to be, You're fine. You're okay. It didn't happen at your school. So like nothing happened. Nothing ever will happen. We want to, yes, assure them of their safety while also validating it makes total sense that you're feeling this way. It makes so much sense. This is really very scary. I feel worried and we are safe. So that's the key combo, assuring them of their safety and validating their feelings. Now you may say to me, how do we say that to them? You are safe when we don't know if they will be safe forever. And that is the hardest part to balance as a parent. I would emphasize how rare this is because it is. It is not a lie to say, and this is, the recommendation of the PTSD networks reassure them just how rare it is. You can even bring a statistic into it because that does help me. Don't say this, but it helps me to know if I were that very small statistic, then it is what it is. But bringing back how rare and factual that is can be very helpful while also reassuring their feelings. Um, the last thing I will say is, well, there's two more things. The news, again, coming back to this because you might think, well, they already know about it, so I'm going to keep the news on. There was a study after 9/11, and it showed that children who watched the news, the footage, and we were one of them, in sixth grade, whatever grade you were in, ninth grade, the children who were exposed to the news of the planes just crashing in over and over and over and over, they experienced the same level of PTSD as children who were actually there on that day. And so it is so important to protect your child from images of the children coming out of the school and sobbing and being interviewed, and it's over and over and over. This is on social media. If your child is of that age, really protect those little brains. I'll also say you may not have a developing brain, so it might not be as big of an impact on you, but it is not that healthy for our brains either to see the same imagery be repeated over and over and over. So if it feels good to you, limit your exposure as well. The very last thing I'll end with is sometimes in distress, and your child may not even have signs of it, but you might see acting out, you might see bad behavior, you might see harder to fall asleep at night. It may be obvious, your child crying, talking to you about it, they're scared. It might not be obvious. Um, just be patient. Just be patient. Just be validating. It is a scary thing to them. It's a big thing to go through. So in those moments, just have empathy, have understanding. It will pass. And of course, always get higher help, child therapy, if they were closely involved, or if you think that, this is really increasing beyond what is sort of expected. It doesn't pass after, let's say, a month, 6 weeks.
Thank you. I hate that we have to even talk about
I
this. I was
hate
like taking
it.
notes too because I had this conversation with my third grader last night,
Yep.
and thank you. I think we got questions before, and so we're moving to the Q&A portion of this, and then we're going to let you go because we know this was last minute, and we're grateful for your attention. We got some questions that came in before and during, and a lot of them are very similar. So here's what we'll begin with. What if my elected officials already support safer gun laws? Fantastic. And it's not enough. Nobody gets off the hook here, people. So yes, you still have to call them because you are giving them, forgive the pun, ammo to do more, right? My phone's being lit up. I'm going to go talk with my friend. Like, these people know people on the other side of the aisle. So our goal is to have them work with people on the other side of the aisle. It's not enough to co-sponsor, which just means saying I support a bill. A bill. It's not. And they also won't do more because they have 7,000 priorities, millions of different calls about everything every day, especially in this chaotic political time. When we were there and there was calls about Doge and there was calls about China and there's calls about tariffs. That's the point. One of the questions we got is, I feel like I've been contacting my representatives for years and nothing happens. The problem is, and I'm not calling this person out because I fall into this category too, we do until we don't. I've gone in and out of it and I freaking run this thing. Like, it is critical that we keep the momentum up, because the reason the Bipartisan Safer Communities Act passed, which was the first gun safety law in 30 years to pass, and it's called bipartisan because there were at least 15 Republicans on it. So yes, this can be a bipartisan issue. The reason is, and we've talked with them about it behind closed doors, is because they thought we were going to have riots in the streets because there was such a palpable energy from America. So they were like, we knew we had to do something because we were getting lit up. So if you're asking what can we do, light them up. Have a text chain where you hold your friends accountable and be like, I did it. Like, we literally have an app where you just type. You don't even have to call them and it pre-writes it for you. Like, this is inconvenient at best. Make it a part of your day and get louder and louder, and then spread the word. And especially you in red states, every day. I don't want to hear, oh, like my representative has an AR-15 in his photo. I know there are a few of those. The bottom line is, we've met with so many Republicans. That's all we do is spend our time on Republicans. And behind closed doors, so many are with us. Yep. It is, and I hate saying this, especially to the survivor community, but it is politics. It is about timing. It is about momentum. It is about public pressure, and it is about political cover. Like, who has my back if I do this? We do. We do. And that's what we need. A couple other quick questions I'm going to answer. How do I find my elected official? We've got an app for that. So first of all, again, in our March 4th on our Instagram, if you don't have Instagram, which I think everyone on here probably does, but it's in our bio. Contact your elected official. You literally input your address and it'll tell you. It'll show you the pictures of the 2 senators and 1 representative that you have. Every state has 2 senators. So whatever state you're from, you can literally Google U.S. Senator for Iowa. Grassley and Ernst will come up. And then representatives are a little trickier. Maybe you've heard of the word gerrymandering, and these districts are like drawn by people. But you can look it up that way. And then beyond the app that we have, if you want to call them, you can. And the other question that I was getting to is, what is the script to use? We've got those for you too. Things to keep in mind if you're not typing and you're calling. You will literally never talk to your senator or representative on the phone. And unless you know them, and if you do, please contact me so we can set up a meeting. You will talk to an intern, okay, whose job it is to say, can I get your zip code? What is your comment? Thank you. I will pass along your message. They will not quiz you about gun statistics. They will not ask you your background. They will not ask you to validate it. They just need to tally. So I know that it can be like anxiety provoking, since that's just the world we're living in, to call and do something. But all they need to know is, I want my senator to end mass shootings. There are so many bills on their desk. And the bottom line is, when this momentum happens, they create a package with stuff. So that's a reason we're not even going into the different bill numbers and all of that today. You can go real deep into politics. What we need from you is end mass shootings. Mass shootings are not normal. The rest of the world didn't solve for mental illness. They solved for mass shootings. We can too. So if you have other questions, please email them to hello@wemarch4th.org. Please follow us and spread the word. This sounds stupid, but we go into lobby every month. And when we talk to these senators and representatives and say, what would you prefer we tell our 90,000 followers on Instagram? It's nothing to the millions that Kristen has. They literally stop and they're like, oh, actually, like they care. Feels like a lot. So spread the word, show up, do the tedious thing because it's not hard. I'm not going to say it's hard. Contact your representatives and stick with it. Stay in this, please. Thank you guys. You've done the work by coming here today. We're so grateful. And to Kristen for just dropping everything and hopping on with me. I love you forever.
We love you guys. Thanks. Keep up the fight. Let's do this.
Thanks all.